All of us have grown up knowing of Michelin as a tire company, and its mascot, the Michelin Man, or as he is popularly called, the Bibendum, is strongly etched in our childhood memory. But did you know, Michelin also has a rather culinary side that has influenced how the world looks at food experiences? For those of you who guessed it, yes, I'm talking about the famous Michelin food guide. I'm Neil and welcome to 5-Minute Travel Tips. Let's dive into history for a bit then. The Great Michelin Company was founded in 1889 by two brothers, André and Edouard Michelin, in a region called Clermont-Ferrand in central France. At that point in time, there were fewer than 3,000 cars on the road in France, and the brothers had this grand vision for the French automobile industry. But with fewer than 300 cars on the road, the brothers had to encourage people to buy more cars, which in turn would increase tire purchases. To do this, the brothers came up with a small guide filled with information such as maps, fuel stations, a how-to guide, and a list of places where a traveler could eat and take shelter for the night. This guide was sold at no cost. But one fine day, André Michelin arrived at a tire shop and found this guide being used as a prop to hold a workbench from falling, and this really upset him. Seeing this and working on the principle that people only respect what they pay for, the brand new Michelin guide was launched in 1920, a whole century ago, and sold for 7 francs. A guide which at first included only a list of hotels in Paris and a list of restaurants according to specific categories, today has grown into one of the most well-respected food guides around the world. As the guide became popular and with its growing influence and with a strict policy of no paid advertisements in the guide, the Michelin brothers recruited a team of mystery diners or restaurant inspectors, as they are better known today, to visit and review restaurants anonymously. To this day, the mystery of the recruitment process and the identity of these Michelin inspectors remains a mystery and a very well-guarded secret. About 6 years on, in 1926, the guide also began awarding stars for fine dining restaurants, and a hierarchy of 0, 1, 2 and 3 stars was introduced. 1 star meant that it is a very good restaurant. 2 means it is definitely worth a detour due to its excellent cooking standards. And finally, 3 means that the restaurants by themselves are worthy of a trip, they are so good. The Michelin Guide today rates over 30,000 establishments across 3 continents and is present in 35 countries. Even with the hype surrounding the stars, the process of how they are awarded is still pretty tightly under wraps. The food inspectors, who we spoke about earlier, pay multiple visits to fine dining restaurants anonymously, judging if the service, the ambience, and the food make an establishment worthy of the stars. Now, with the identity of the Michelin inspectors unknown, no restaurant knows when an inspector would visit the restaurant, and as a result, the standards of the restaurants on the Michelin Guide have to consistently hold up throughout the year. With the restaurants on the guide being re-evaluated year on year, a restaurant must consistently remain innovative and up to the mark. And with that being said, the acquisition or the loss of a star can have dramatic effects on the success of a restaurant. Michelin has gone to extraordinary lengths to maintain the anonymity of its inspectors. Many of the company's top executives have never even met an inspector. Inspectors themselves are advised not to disclose their line of work, even to their parents, because they might be tempted to boast about it. And in all of the years that it has been putting up the guide, Michelin has refused to allow its inspectors to speak to journalists. In addition to these stars, with time, the guide has also started awarding rising stars, green stars, and has also introduced a new feature called the Bib Gourmand. A rising star is an indication that a restaurant has the potential to qualify for a star. A green star symbolizes excellence in sustainable gastronomy, and the restaurant is given space on the Michelin website for the chef to describe the restaurant's vision. And finally, the Bib Gourmand guide highlights restaurants offering exceptionally good food at moderate prices. When we visited a 1 Michelin star restaurant in Tokyo called Sushi Ichiyanagi in 2019, we had to make a reservation 3 months in advance. But the Michelin Guide, although popular, also has its critics. Losing a star basically indicates that a restaurant is on a downward trend. This in turn would mean losing business. With this background, many chefs around the world have also given up their stars, calling the stars a burden than a blessing. Like in 2017, French chef Sebastian Bra requested to be left out of the next edition of the Michelin Guide, blaming the unrelenting pressure on maintaining a fine dining kitchen, an issue that's increasingly becoming a concern in the wider restaurant industry. In spite of this, today the remarkable foresight of the founding Michelin brothers has given the company a vocation that is as relevant in 2021 as it was in the 1900s, namely to make driving, tourism, and the search for unforgettable experiences available to all. So the next time you're planning your culinary trip, be sure to check the Michelin Guide, book in advance, and go on a gastronomic journey like no other. See you next week.